"Get that thing away from my house or I'll shoot it down," I screamed, pointing at the hovering drone. Gordon Clark froze on his lawn, controller in hand, his face morphing from shock to rage. The metallic buzz of his spy drone hung in the air between us like an accusation, and in that moment, 10 years of neighborly pretense crumbled. I clutched the garden hose, knuckles white, heart hammering against my ribs as Gordon's face reddened to match his perfectly trimmed roses. "It's just a drone, Donovan. Public airspace," he said with that smirk I'd come to despise. "Not when it's peering into my bedroom window." I stepped forward, crossing the invisible boundary between our properties for the first time in years. "Delete whatever you recorded. Now." His wife Nancy appeared at the door, arms crossed, watching us with that same judgmental stare she'd perfected over the years. "Is there a problem, Gordon?" "No problem. Michael here's just being paranoid again." Again. As if I were the neighborhood lunatic. As if I hadn't spent years avoiding confrontation, keeping to myself, perfecting the art of neighborly invisibility. I'd been so careful, especially since starting the government contract 6 months ago. My home office was supposed to be my sanctuary. "Show me what's on that drone," I demanded, stepping closer. "Show me right now." Gordon's mouth tightened as he called the drone down, the mechanical whirring growing louder as it descended. Nancy walked toward us, her designer sandals clicking on their immaculate driveway. The drone landed between us like a gauntlet thrown down. "You need professional help, Michael," Nancy's voice dripped with fake concern. "We're just documenting neighborhood violations for the HOA meeting." I looked at the drone, then at their faces. At 7 in the morning? Through my bedroom window? The drone sat there, its camera eye still blinking red. Recording. Always recording. "We've noticed some concerning behavior," Gordon said, picking up the drone and tucking it under his arm. "The packages you receive. The late hours you keep. Your visitor last night." My blood ran cold. Melissa had stayed over for the first time in months. We'd been careful, curtains drawn. Or so I thought. "That's none of your business," I hissed. Nancy's eyebrows rose. "It is when you bring questionable people into our neighborhood." "Questionable?" My voice cracked. "What are you?" "We know what you're doing in there," Gordon cut in, nodding toward my house. "All those computers. The security measures." I took a step back. They couldn't know about the project. They couldn't. "This conversation is over," I said, turning away. "Keep your drone away from my property." "Or what?" Gordon called after me. I didn't answer. Inside, I locked the door and leaned against it, breathing hard. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Melissa. "Just got home. Did I leave my laptop charger at your place?" I closed my eyes. The Clarks had been watching us. For how long? And why? The government contract required absolute discretion. If they had footage of my workstation. I moved to the window and peered through the blinds. Gordon was still in his yard, drone now back in the air, hovering just at the edge of my property line. Testing me. Watching. The red recording light blinked steadily, like a mechanical heartbeat. I needed to know what they had seen, what they knew, and why they suddenly cared so much about the quiet programmer next door who barely made a sound. My hands trembled as I closed the blinds and went to my home office. The secure workstation sat there, projects from the Department of Defense displayed on multiple screens. Vulnerability assessments. Security protocols. Nothing illegal, but everything confidential. Everything that required privacy. My phone buzzed again. Not Melissa this time. An email notification from the Homeowners Association. Notice of violation. Unauthorized home business operation *. I opened it, my stomach sinking. "Dear Mr. Donovan, *. It has come to our attention that you are operating an unauthorized business from your residence at 1422 Evergreen Terrace. Per HOA regulations, all home businesses must be registered and approved by the board. Furthermore, concerns have been raised by multiple residents regarding unusual activity, excessive package deliveries, and potential security concerns. *. A hearing has been scheduled for Friday, May 17th at 7 p.m. *. Multiple residents? I hadn't even spoken to anyone else on the street in weeks. This was Gordon's doing. But why now, after years of peaceful coexistence? I scrolled down to see the complainant names. Gordon and Nancy Clark * William and Susan Taylor * Eleanor Fitzpatrick * Eleanor? The elderly widow next door who always waved at me? William and Susan from 3 doors down who I'd helped with their Wi-Fi last Christmas? This was orchestrated. A coordinated attack. But why? I checked my security camera footage from earlier that week. There it was. Tuesday, 2:17 p.m. Gordon Clark walking door to door with a clipboard. Eleanor's house. The Taylors. The Johnsons. Each visit lasting just a few minutes. Each followed by a pointed glance at my house. He was gathering signatures, building a coalition against me. My phone rang, startling me. Melissa's name flashed on the screen. "Hey," I answered, trying to sound normal. "Michael." Her voice was tight. "I just got the strangest call from someone named Gordon Clark. He says he's your neighbor." My blood froze. "What did he want?" "He asked if I knew what you really did for a living. Said I should be careful around you." "Michael, what's going on?" I couldn't breathe. They were contacting Melissa now, trying to isolate me. "I don't know," I said honestly, "but I'm going to find out." "How did he get your number anyway?" "He said he found it on a package label that was delivered to your house yesterday. The courier left it on your porch." "Michael, what's going on?" I silently cursed. The overnight delivery I'd signed for, Melissa's name was on it because she'd ordered specialized equipment for my secure setup. Gordon must have been watching the porch. After hanging up, I moved methodically through the house, checking windows, closing blinds. At each one, I caught glimpses of the drone, hovering, watching, recording. When I reached the kitchen window, I saw Gordon on his phone, gesturing animatedly toward my house as he spoke. Nancy was on their front lawn, chatting with Susan Taylor. They were mobilizing the neighborhood against me. I needed to know why. And more importantly, I needed to know what they had already seen, what they might know about my work, about me. The drone kept its silent vigil outside my house all day. By evening, I'd counted 6 different neighbors stopping by the Clark's house. Each time, Gordon would point toward my place. Each time, concerned looks would follow. As darkness fell, the drone finally retreated. I watched from my darkened living room as Gordon brought it down into their backyard, removed something from it, and went inside. The memory card. The evidence. I needed that card. Sleep was impossible that night. My mind raced with possibilities, each worse than the last. Had they recorded my screens through the windows? Had they seen classified information? Were they simply nosy neighbors, or something worse? By morning, I had a plan. Not a good one, but a plan nonetheless. I called my project manager at the DoD. "I need to take a personal day. Family emergency." Then I called Melissa. "Can you meet me for coffee? I need to talk to you about what's happening." At the coffee shop 3 miles from our neighborhood, I laid it all out for her. The drone, the HOA complaint, the strange campaign Gordon seemed to be waging against me. "That's seriously creepy," she said, hands wrapped around her mug. "But why would they suddenly start targeting you now?" "I don't know. The only thing that's changed is the government contract. But I've been so careful." "Maybe it's not about you at all," Melissa suggested. "Maybe they're using you as a distraction from something they're doing." I paused, coffee halfway to my lips. "What do you mean?" "Classic misdirection. Make everyone look at the weird programmer while they're up to something worse." It made a twisted kind of sense. But what could they be doing that requires turning the neighborhood against me? Melissa shrugged. "Only way to find out is to get that memory card." I stared at her. "You want me to break into their house?" "No," she said, leaning forward. "But that drone has to land sometime." She was right. And I had an idea. That afternoon, I set up a signal jammer near the edge of my property. Nothing powerful enough to be illegal, just enough to disrupt the drone's connection to its controller when it got close enough. Sure enough, around 4 p.m., the drone made its appearance, hovering near my office window. I activated the jammer. The effect was immediate. The drone wobbled, then dropped like a stone, landing in the narrow strip of land between our houses. I was out the door in seconds, heart pounding. Gordon appeared on his porch just as I reached the drone. "Hey, don't touch that." I scooped it up, the weight of it surprising me. "Lost control of your spy cam, Gordon?" "That's my property." He was coming down his steps now, face flushed with anger. "And this is my airspace," I retorted, already backing toward my house. "You'll get it back when I see what's on this memory card." "You can't do that." He was on his lawn now, moving faster. I turned and ran for my door, clutching the drone. Inside, I locked the door just as Gordon began pounding on it. "Donovan, open this door right now, or I'm calling the police." "Go ahead." I called back, already working to extract the memory card. The drone was expensive, high-end, with a 4K camera and extended battery life. Not your average hobbyist equipment. The memory card popped free just as the pounding stopped. Through the window, I could see Gordon on his phone, pacing angrily. Calling the police, no doubt. I had minutes at most. Plugging the card into my computer, I braced myself for what I might find. The directory loaded, revealing dozens of video files, neatly dated and timestamped. The oldest was from 3 months ago. 3 months of surveillance. I clicked on yesterday's file. The video opened to show my house, then zoomed in on my office window. The angle changed, moving higher, peering down from above. I watched in horror as the camera captured clear images of my screens, the DoD logos clearly visible. But then the drone moved on. To the Taylor's house. Then to Eleanor's. Then to each house on the street, recording through windows, capturing private moments. This wasn't about me at all. Gordon was spying on everyone. The doorbell rang, followed by a sharp knock. Police. Open the door. I quickly copied the memory card's contents to my secure encrypted external drive, not my work computer. I removed the card and slipped it into my pocket, then disconnected the drive and placed it in a hidden compartment of my desk, standard procedure for handling sensitive material. I learned from my DoD work to never show confidential information on my main systems. This man stole my drone, Gordon announced before I could speak. Sir, is this true? The older officer asked me. I have his drone. Yes, I admitted. After he used it to spy through my windows for months. The officers exchanged glances. Do you have proof of that allegation? I do, I said, stepping back to let them in. And not just for my house. He's been recording everyone on the street. Gordon's smug expression faltered. That's ridiculous. I'm documenting code violations for the HOA. Through bedroom windows. I challenged. At all hours of the day and night? The younger officer frowned. Sir, do you have evidence of these recordings? On my computer, I said. From his memory card. Which he stole. Gordon interjected. Which fell on my property after losing connection, I corrected. I have that on my security camera. It was a bluff. I had no such footage. But Gordon didn't know that. Let's all calm down, the older officer said. Sir, we'll need to see both the drone and these alleged recordings. I led them to my computer while Gordon fumed behind us. The videos spoke for themselves, house after house, window after window, private moments captured without consent. The officers grew increasingly uncomfortable as we scrolled through the files. Mr. Clark, the older one finally said, Are you aware that recording through private windows without consent is illegal in this state? Gordon's face paled. I was just, and this appears to be more than one residence, the officer continued. Multiple counts. He broke my drone. Gordon protested weakly. Sir, I think we have a more serious situation here, the younger officer said. We're going to need you to come down to the station to answer some questions. Gordon looked at me with pure hatred. This isn't over, Donovan. Actually, I think it is, I replied. After they left, Gordon to the police station, the drone taken as evidence, I sat in stunned silence in my living room. Why had Gordon been recording everyone? What was he looking for? I called my DoD supervisor. This situation could potentially compromise my work. Richardson speaking, he answered gruffly. Steve, it's Michael. I have a situation you should know about. A neighbor has been using a drone to spy through my windows, including my office. I've handled it through proper channels, but wanted you to be aware. Jesus, Donovan. Any breach of material? No, my security measures held. Privacy screens, encrypted drives, the works. But they were definitely trying. File a full report. We may need to move your workspace to a secure facility. Understood. Next, I called a lawyer friend from college. Rob Kellner. Rob, it's Michael Donovan. I need advice on a privacy case. Neighbor using drones to spy. 40 minutes later, with Rob's legal advice guiding my next steps, I had a clearer picture of what I could and couldn't do with the evidence. What do you want, Nancy? You've made a serious mistake, she said, voice low. You have no idea what you've done. I exposed your husband's illegal surveillance. That's what I've done. Gordon was protecting this neighborhood, protecting our investments, our way of life. By spying on everyone? You wouldn't understand. You don't care about this community. She sneered. You just hide in your house with your computers and your government secrets. Is that what this is about? You think I'm a security risk? Nancy laughed coldly. You really don't know, do you? How much your precious little house is worth. What's coming to this area? I stared at her, confused. Stellaris Group, she said, watching my face. They've been buying properties all over this neighborhood, offering well above market value. But not to you. Her smile was vicious. Gordon made sure of that. Why would he? Because people like you bring down property values. The strange loner. The security risk. The one with the questionable visitors. She turned and walked away, her designer heels clicking on the sidewalk. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk, we should talk. About Gordon and the drones. Eleanor asterisk Eleanor Fitzpatrick. The elderly widow whose name had been on the HOA complaint. Across the street, Eleanor's porch light came on as dusk settled. I'd always liked Eleanor, a retired teacher who kept to herself but was unfailingly kind. Her name on the HOA complaint had hurt the most. I crossed the street and knocked on her door. She answered quickly, her eyes widening when she saw me. Michael, is everything all right? I saw the police. May I come in, Eleanor? I need to ask you something. She hesitated, then stepped aside. Her living room was cozy and immaculate, photos of what I assumed were grandchildren covering one wall. I saw your name on an HOA complaint against me, I said once we were seated. I was wondering why. Eleanor's face crumpled. Oh, Michael, I'm so sorry. Gordon told me it was for a community garden proposal. I didn't read the fine print. She shook her head. He's been making all sorts of rounds lately, getting signatures for things. Did he tell you why? Eleanor hesitated. Not exactly. But ever since that property developer showed interest in our neighborhood, Gordon's been different. I frowned. Property developer? Stellaris Group. They've been buying up properties in the area. Gordon was dead set against it, said it would ruin our community. Then suddenly he changed his tune, started collecting information on everyone. She leaned forward. I think they bought him off. Pieces started falling into place, and he needed dirt on the neighbors who wouldn't sell. Eleanor nodded sadly. I refused to sell. The Taylors too. And you never even answered their letters, did you? I hadn't. I dismissed them as junk mail. So Gordon was gathering leverage, I mused. Something to force holdouts to leave. And with your government job. Eleanor trailed off. They thought they could paint me as a security risk, I finished. Get me forced out. I stood abruptly. I need to make some calls. That night, with Rob's legal guidance clear in my mind, I called everyone on Gordon's video files. The Taylors. The Johnsons. Even reclusive Mr. Patel at the end of the street. One by one, I explained what I'd found, what Gordon had been doing. One by one, they agreed to meet. 3 days later, we gathered in Eleanor's living room. 12 neighbors, all victims of Gordon's surveillance. I connected a separate laptop, not my work computer, to Eleanor's TV and played a carefully edited compilation of Gordon's drone footage, nothing too invasive, but enough to show his systematic surveillance of every house. Rob had helped me prepare this, ensuring we weren't further violating anyone's privacy. He was looking for leverage, I explained. Anything he could use to pressure people into selling to Stellaris Group. William Taylor nodded grimly. They offered us 20% below market value. When we refused, Gordon started dropping hints about our son's late-night comings and goings. Others shared similar stories. Subtle threats. Implied exposure of private matters. A campaign of quiet intimidation. So what do we do? Susan Taylor asked. I took a deep breath. Gordon's already facing criminal charges for the recordings. But I think we need to go after Stellaris too, if they're working with him. Class action, Mr. Patel suggested. His voice was quiet but firm. I'm an attorney. This is clear harassment and invasion of privacy. And we need to replace the entire HOA board, Eleanor added, if they're compromised. The Johnsons' teenage son spoke up. I saw Gordon meeting with some suit at Riverside Park last month. They were looking at maps of our neighborhood. What kind of person wears a suit to a park? His mother asked. The kind who works for a development company, Mr. Patel said grimly. A plan began to form. Neighbors who had barely spoken for years now strategized together, united against a common threat. The next day, another drone appeared over my house. But this one was different, larger, with official police markings. The Clark's house was being served with a search warrant. Nancy stood on their porch, arms crossed, watching as officers entered their home. Our eyes met across the yard. She knew it was over. Over the following weeks, the legal process moved with deliberate thoroughness. Gordon initially denied everything but eventually pled guilty to multiple privacy violations and harassment charges when faced with overwhelming evidence. The case against Stellaris Group took longer, as Rob had warned us it would. Corporate lawyers fought hard, but the emails on Gordon's computer provided enough of a smoking gun to keep the investigation going. I stood at my window, watching as neighbors gathered in the community center across the street. Melissa came up behind me, sliding her arms around my waist. You going over? she asked. In a minute, I said, turning to face her. I never thought I'd actually want to attend an HOA meeting. She laughed. Funny how things change. From hermit programmer to neighborhood hero. I shook my head. Not a hero. Just someone who finally stopped hiding. We walked to the meeting together, greeted by smiles and pats on the back from people who, weeks earlier, had been strangers at best and suspicious of me at worst. As Eleanor called the meeting to order, I looked around the room at the faces of my neighbors, really seeing them for the first time. The fences and hedges between our properties had stopped being barriers, replaced by something I hadn't expected to find. Community. The Taylors with their struggling son. Eleanor with her memories of a home shared with her late husband. The Johnsons with their noisy teenagers. Mr. Patel with his carefully tended garden. Each with their own private struggles, their own reasons for wanting to stay in their homes. Gordon had wanted to control us through secrets and fear. Instead, he'd inadvertently brought us together, uniting the neighborhood he'd tried to tear apart. After the meeting, as we walked home under the stars, Melissa squeezed my hand. What happens now? With Stellaris stopped and Gordon facing jail time? I looked at our street, at the homes where people now waved to me, called my name, invited me for barbecues. Now we actually become a neighborhood, I said. Not just houses next to each other, but people who look out for one another. She smiled. And what about that secure project of yours? Still worried about prying eyes? I laughed. Oddly enough, no. Turns out the best security isn't hiding behind closed blinds. It's having neighbors who care enough to watch your back. Sometimes it takes a shadow to show you where the light is. Would you have done the same in my place? Was I right to expose Gordon's surveillance, even knowing it would change our neighborhood forever?